On this edition of the program, live from the streets of Buffalo, New York, we have an Iran deal. Again, maybe. We started bombing, we stopped bombing. Is this the beginning of the end? There are some signs that seem to point in that direction. We'll go over all that. There's a new named director of national intelligence, but it does look like one of our most powerful foreign spying laws will lapse. Karol Markowicz joins the show to talk about all sorts of crazy things. It's all coming up.
The following is brought to you by Just Another Pilot.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Politics program for June 12th, 2026. I am here in beautiful Buffalo, New York. I am right outside of where the 50th anniversary of the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry Conference will happen. 50 years of this. That's a lot. We're doing a world's greatest con talk on Saturday. Going to be really fun. If there's anybody who's listening to this that wants to say hi, please do. I don't know exactly how much of this crowd crosses over, but it is very, very good to be here. Love Buffalo. I've always loved Central New York and Western New York. Obviously, Western New York and Central New York, similar vibes. Even being downtown. I don't know the last time I was in downtown Buffalo, but very much reminds me of downtown Syracuse. A lot of the same architecture, some of the same names that you see around here. You don't see Genesee in a lot of places other than these areas throughout New York, the non-city elements of New York. A good time to remind everybody that Brett Hull was in the crease in 1999. I would still be encouraged for everybody to replay that goal. We're going to bring Karol Markowicz on. We'll talk about Florida. We'll talk about Graham Platner. We'll talk about some Jewish stuff. We have Jewish stuff to discuss. There's a lot. There's a lot in there. Love Karol. Always a great time talking to her. But we got to begin with the Groundhog Day report that kind of just keeps coming and going. And this may even evolve by the time that I hit publish here, or Will hits publish for this episode. We began bombing. So I told people on the Substack exclusive episode that came out yesterday that I had been told from people in the know that the United States military had been coiled to strike Iran and was looking for provocation or justification to begin a full resumption of military activity. That happened when the Iranians shot down an Apache helicopter as it was getting tankers of oil out of the Strait of Hormuz. We also saw that the United States announced that 100 million barrels of oil had come out of the Strait of Hormuz under the protection of the United States over the last month. This was something that I was pointing out. It was very curious to me that gas prices were falling, and they were falling pretty dramatically here in the United States over the last month. And it was a bit of a head scratcher because I couldn't wrap my head around, if we're stalled in the Strait of Hormuz, is it a global rerouting? Is there something weird with people are hitting me up on Twitter? They're like, oh, there's a China component to this. Maybe. If there is a China component to it, then you had to imagine it was something that was negotiated when Trump was out there and just hasn't been heralded. Whether it's good or bad, whether we pay too much for it, who knows, right? But now, after one night of military activities, of blowing things up, the second night was canceled. And Donald Trump said it was because we are at the point of a deal. And it's a deal that has been signed off on by all available parties in the region. It looks like it is still the basic shape of the memorandum of understanding, which is going to get a lot of criticism because it, we just need to know what it says, right? And we have no idea. We have no idea, A, if it's real. We have no idea what it says. The political lines that the Trump administration put out as their signs of victory was that this deal would remove nukes from Iran, that they would be willing to give up their nuclear material. That would be something meaningfully different than what we had with JCPOA. That would be a big deal. The question is the give back. You've heard a lot. It seems like one of the big points that Iran is very focused on is money. They need money and they need money fast. So they have frozen Iranian assets. They want to know if they can get into that. You've seen Scott Bessent come out over the last 48 hours and say, look, if you are attacking your neighbors, if you're attacking us, we're going to repay the damage that you did with these rockets first out of those funds, and then you're going to be able to get stuff. Will this money go directly to Iran? Will this money go to humanitarian aid that will be assisted through an intermediary? These are all the questions that need to be asked. But for right now, the only thing that seems that this might be more real than what we saw before is that the IRGC-controlled news agency FARS in Iran, according to social media reports, is acknowledging that there is a memorandum of understanding draft. It is acknowledging that the United States approves of it, and it is saying that it is likely to be approved by Iran. Whatever Supreme Council needs to sign off on it. And functionally, look, I'm not an Iranian expert here, but functionally, I don't know if anybody of a certain rank needs to sign off on it so much as you gotta know that you can keep it. Because there's already been a few false starts of people in authority that have tried to make deals and then have been pushed back on because there are IRGC commanders that don't believe that that's the case. You know, we had people in high command say that we aren't going to attack the neighbors. Iran is not going to attack their Gulf neighbors. Not going to happen. You've had agreements to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Not going to happen. So is any deal enforceable? Or is there somebody with access to military equipment that is going to make sure that they move forward? I don't think that there's a question that the leadership in Iran has been splintered. The question now is, do they give up nuclear material? And that's a big if. All right, let's go ahead and throw to Karol. It's my honor to welcome back to the program Karol Markowicz, the Karol Markowicz Show, and so many other fantastic writings and recordings. Karol, welcome back to the program.
Hi, Justin. So nice to be on with you.
Yeah, I gotta say, I right before we came on, you know, rarely can I go to social media, especially now in the worlds that I am in politics and technology. It's just nothing but brain blending insanity. But a ray of light shining through the clouds. The World Cup is in North America, and you have a lot of people that are in America for the first time or spending time that are here to watch the games. And boy, are they just having a blast. And it just makes me very happy to see a German go to Buc-ee's.
Yeah, the German at Buc-ee's has been amazing. I believe there was also, I don't remember where she's from, but another woman who discovered ranch dressing.
There's a Swede who discovered ranch and also plain Wi-Fi.
I didn't want to say she was from Norway because that's like the biggest insult possible, but I knew it was somewhere around there. Yeah, look, this is how it's supposed to go, right? They've convinced us over the last decade or so. And when I say they, the vague they,
The
the
they,
liberal elites, I
the
would
straw
say.
men they, yes, whoever
The New
they
York
are.
Times writers, but
There we
not
go.
specifically them, but in general, and it's trickled over to the right where we're not supposed to like each other. We're supposed to be opposed. And I think that the best things ever have been traveling and finding how they do things better elsewhere and
Hmm.
bringing them back home. And that is, not cultural appropriation, although I would love to see a Buc-ee's in Germany. It's the way we were supposed to do this. I love to
Don't
travel,
say it too loud to college
yeah.
football, because at the way they're expanding, they're going to put an SEC school in Cologne by the end of the decade. So
For sure. On my show, I asked people for predictions, and Ben Domenech said that the NFL was going to be in like Mexico and Europe in the next 5 years. And I could totally see that.
Mexico, I would say, probably makes, well, there are trade-offs for all of it. But they talked
Well,
about that forever. They talked about the Jaguars just being a permanent London team because they play
right.
so many games over there. But I don't know. I mean, I think there's just, maybe it's, and I am amongst this, because these are the circles that I've grown up in my entire life of, like, the American desire to want the thing we don't have. And I think
Uh-huh.
that it's a very complex thing, because on one hand, it leads to this sort of default idea of we're the dumbest country in the world. We do everything very stupid. These evolved people from around the world are doing things amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that there's not better solutions to things in different places. Like, I've ridden trains in Japan. They're phenomenal.
Sure.
Now, by the
Right.
way, if you're a second late for the train, they'll cut your hand off, as opposed to the way that we do it here in, like, let's say
You're going
New
to
York,
stick your
where
arm
people
in?
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get the arm in, you're allowed on the train.
Mhm.
But there are cultural trade-offs there, and obviously there are different ways that people do things around the world. But at the same time, it's like kind of the side, the interesting part of that is that we do really want to take things from around the world, and we do create this bizarre hodgepodge. And that's what I think has been fun about all this, is that what you're seeing is a lot of people that are coming from different places, that largely Europe and Asia, they have more traditional cultures in that they are sticking with the way that they have done things forever. And there's governmental reasons, there's cultural reasons why that happens, but, like, this village and this culture has been doing it for hundreds, if
Yeah.
not thousands of years, and so this is the way it's going to go. Being a newer country, we get to play around with things, and I think every once in a while you're going to blow a German's hair back when he sees 30 gas pumps and a brisket
Right.
shop.
Right. And it's not that I feel like there's just this whole like better or worse. And there are things that are objectively better in certain places, right? Like nobody can touch us on things like air conditioning, we're objectively better. And then you have, you talked about promptness in Japan. That wouldn't be bad if our trains actually ran on time and we didn't need
Yeah, and we're
a
that
Hitler to
clean.
make
Yeah.
that happen.
Yeah.
I think taking the best parts of various cultures and incorporating them into your own is good. And taking bad parts of other people's cultures and incorporating them into your own is bad.
And that, I think that is a pure American ideal that we can kind of meet in the middle on, is just
Mhm.
saying, like, we're not going to shut off an idea because it's from another country.
Right. Right.
We have countries that we might actively not like. Like, there have been times where we've, obviously there's been a cultural a mockery of, like, the French. Doesn't mean we don't like the cheese.
Sure, the
we're
cheese
gonna
is
we're
still
gonna
good.
we're gonna bring it in. We're gonna fly it in. We're gonna grow our own cheese in those
Yeah.
styles. We're gonna create bubbly wine that is going to be like the stuff that they've done.
Right.
America is this kind of hodgepodge, and I'm just I'm glad to see it on display, and also just a little warm and fuzzies, because, geez Louise, do we kind of need a little warm and fuzzies these
We
days?
really do. And, I think it also corresponds with, in the last few years, I've seen this like backlash to travel. And we see it a lot in Europe. They have these protests against tourism, and they
Yeah.
don't want people like Barcelona. They have, they don't want the kind of level of tourism they have. And it's understandable. A lot of places do get very packed and all of that. Yes. But I've also seen it in America where, when I love to travel, I have the travel bug where I want to see unique places. I want to show my kids. I had to take them to Bangkok and see them see it, it's something
Yeah.
really unique and different. And there's this atmosphere of well, why do you want to do that? Why?
Yeah.
We have everything you need right here. And it just is closed-minded. And I love to see it, Europeans coming here and seeing some of our cool, best stuff is fun. And you going
fun.
there and seeing their stuff is also fun.
Yeah. And, there was another thing, and this is more just reacting to social media, which is the worst content that anyone could ever produce is just reacting to social media. And now it's 80% of all the content that gets produced. But there was some comment of oh, all American cities are kind of the same. And I found that to be a pretty coastal idea.
Yeah,
That it's okay, well, what's the
so
difference
not.
between New York and San Francisco? Well, aside from weather and everything, it's you could probably, there's a reason why you can shoot movies where, you can shoot LA for New York, even though they're two very, very different vibes. But that has nothing to do with the middle of the country where a lot of these people are, driving through in the Dutch are in Lawrence, Kansas, or
Right.
Algeria. Algeria's in Lawrence, Kansas. It's that Lawrence, Kansas looks nothing like New York, feels nothing like New York. And that is, it is a rich tapestry.
But even our biggest
50
cities,
states.
you're not going to be in LA and be this feels like Chicago. Our cities are actually quite unique. You're never going to think that Miami seems kind of like New York. It just doesn't. It's
Well, except for all the New Yorkers, but yeah.
Well, yeah, as my daughter said when we moved here, why does everybody have a New York accent except us?
Yeah, no, I was joking with the Knicks game 3. It's that celebrity row, a who's who of people who actually live in Miami. Just
Yep.
all right. Let's get
Okay.
into some of the politics here.
Yeah.
Carol, I've been wanting to ask you this question since we booked you earlier this week. There was a certain kind of social media presence circa 2015, 2016 that usually went a little something like this. I am a scholar of the rise of Hitler in Nazi Germany. And what I am seeing right now from Donald Trump is unmistakably an echo of this exact same pattern. And what I would wonder for them, and I wonder if you wondered the same thing, where does a guy with a Nazi tattoo saying that rich Jews are controlling politicians rank in the list of things that lead to Hitler? I just wonder.
Yeah. Where are those scholars now?
Where are those scholars?
We should look them up and at them on Blue Sky probably because they're no longer
I
on
think they're
Fox.
probably on Blue Sky.
Yeah. That's the question, right? It's how much will the Democrats accept in order to cater to, I can't even call it their fringe anymore. I used to say, oh, their fringe has all these crazy ideas. Is it their fringe anymore? Their fringe is now mayor of New York City. Is any of this fringe? It has taken over their party. And on the right, I think that we have a lot of problems. We have a lot of bad elements. But I've seen a pushback I don't see on the left. The liberals have let the leftists completely take over. And they're not pushing back. And in fact, they're adapting to them. That's what is most obvious to me with the main race.
Platner's a very interesting candidate in terms of kind of understanding why he's popular and also why I would make the argument that he is probably uniquely built in a lab to lose to Susan Collins. But there's no denying that he's got an appeal. He has that kind of, he has the ability to look down a camera. He was on with Joe and Mika today on Morning Joe, for which the framing of that, I'll never get over that because they shoot it in their house in Palm Beach or whatever, but they just always look, they're just side to side, down the barrel. It just looks like you're having an uncomfortable first dinner with your girlfriend's parents. Like
Yeah.
they're just kind of like they're judging you. But he's, I don't, weirdly, the AIPAC stuff I find to be more troubling from an anti-Semitic side
Interesting, yeah.
than I do the tattoo. The tattoo I can write off as military guys.
Youthful
There's
exuberance.
a weird culture of death around the military. That is your job, right? Especially for if you're in those certain things. Now, he hasn't explained it like that, which kind of adds an element of dishonesty to it. Like, but the AIPAC stuff, when he's like going after Fetterman and he's like, oh, you're a puppet of AIPAC. It's like, I don't know when and how the AIPAC thing just snowballed into this, like, no, it just went from like a super PAC of concerned Jews that will advocate for their causes to protocols at the Elders of Zion where they're like pulling the strings on all of Western society. But we're there now.
Yeah,
like it is a slur.
Yeah. But what's additionally hilarious about that is that AIPAC is this super middle of the road milquetoast organization. Like if you talk to conservative Jews, none of us liked AIPAC because what are they really doing? What are they really solving? Like it just we did not see them as effective. And this idea that they're running the world, we're like they're running the world? Like I don't think so.
I mean, look, I know people in Democratic politics. I've talked to people in Democratic politics that are in those spheres, and they're like, we wish AIPAC were as effective as they are being portrayed. If they could literally just push out people we don't like and they could install people that we did like, we would be a lot happier. They seem to be somewhere between feckless and bumbling half the time.
Exactly. And so it's hard to understand it in any way other than anti-Semitism. And the fact that it's so obvious and Democrats are okay with it is like, I'm a conservative Jew, politically conservative Jew, and I have been annoyed at liberal Jews my whole life. Like, I just think they're just ridiculous and so much of what they believe is stupid and all of that. And I'm like, where are you here? Where are you to be like the party that we voted for 100 years has completely abandoned us and turned anything that we want to do into some kind of conspiracy? How do you stand by and let that happen?
Can I ask you from your perspective, is the instinct to say, told you so, or the instinct to say, all right, you don't need to say it, but, just know, obviously it's not over there. It's not over there anymore. What is the instinct? I would assume inside Karol there are two wolves. Which one is winning?
So I do a little bit of both. And I think since October 7th, I have been very like, obviously the way to go is over here. And it's not just on quote unquote Jewish issues. There are bad ideas that these liberals need to let go of in order to have a successful, life in America or anywhere in the West. So number one, Second Amendment, you have to change your mind on that. I know guns are bad. Guns are bad. Guns will defend you. The people who die on October 7th, the people who die in anti-Semitic attacks are not armed. And you have to change your mind on that, and you have to get there faster. Immigration, you cannot have an open border and hope that the mass of people that come in have the same kind of Western liberal views that you do. They don't. And so you need to embrace ICE so fast and be like, I love ICE. But they don't do that. And they kind of want to stay in their liberal, not all of them. A lot of people have moved over. You and I have talked about how I think Trump got around 45% of the Jewish vote, breaking down all the Jewish jurisdictions across the country. I won't see how he got under 45% when he got the astronomical numbers he got in certain Jewish areas. Now, that still means 55% of Jews are like sticking with the party of Nazi tattoos. And to them, I'm a little bit, I told you so. And I've told you often, and I'm telling you now, that it's only going to get worse from here. The guy with the Nazi tattoo is not going to be the last guy with the Nazi tattoo that you're going to be forced to support.
this might be anecdotal, so you can tell me how true it is in your life and in your community personally. But Jews that I have known tend to be 15 steps down the road thinkers when it comes to catastrophe. Like they are worried about catastrophe 15 steps ahead. If anything looks like it might be, we might be going in that. Anecdotally, a friend of mine, when Trump got elected, called her financial advisor to see whether or not she could liquidate half of her assets to put it in a bag under her bed.
Right.
So in case they could flee wherever they needed to flee, right? Just to give a general sense. Now, being somebody that does not have that mindset, I'm a little bit more devil may care. I have often been on the side of, don't worry, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. Right. Like, look at all these things. This is not what you might think it is. When the Jews run the world stuff becomes kind of mainstream, that's where I'm like, well, like now we're in a closer position to some of the more. I don't think we're 15 steps down the road. I think we're closer to 10 or 7 or 8 when you've already kind of normalized. And I've had this conversation with a few people, around, because obviously it all comes back to October 7th. Like not even Gaza. It's October 7th. Like that's where it begins. And I don't know where to put it on the line of like propaganda or people's brains being irradiated by Instagram reels or whatever, but like it was around then that, as somebody who's followed the Middle East, I heard a lot more about the Nakba than I did about Oslo.
Right.
I heard a lot more about this certain way of thinking, which I had always understood to be a jihadist kind of way of thinking that just justifies the idea of Jews in that region as a pestilence that needs to be eradicated because they've done nothing but erode the fabric of whatever was there. As opposed to how I had understood it my entire life, which was a foreign affairs story about an intractable fight that eventually there's a technocratic solution of like, well, at this border on this thing, then these many people return and this is where the capital, like that's how I always understood it. And it just changed overnight. And now we are so many years past that decision. And it's the philosophy behind it, up to and including just the like, the moneyed Jews, like you're, John Fetterman, you're less than because you are controlled by the moneyed Jews. It's like, boy, that's scary. Right. I mean, it's different. It's certainly different. And I'm not a fan, Karol. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, the idea of a Jew who has half of their life savings under their bed, it does portray us as a little bit neurotic, but also having this wealth that we could just pull out and put under our mattress.
Well, I'm not saying it was a lot. I'm saying it was.
I know.
Yeah.
Believe me, I know. But look, that was something that my grandparents and great-grandparents always did in the Soviet Union, right? You were ready to go at a moment's notice because anything could happen. But this is why I'm angry at liberal Jews. Like, how do you allow this to go on your side and stay there with your inane, like, oh, but I believe in like low-income housing. Like, none of it has worked. All of your philosophies are bad. Enough. And that's where I end up on this. Look, the idea that Fetterman is supported by moneyed Jews, it's also just hilarious because he is such a progressive. Like, in any other time, he would just be a progressive, and now it's like unacceptable. And I'll actually tell you that this began a long time ago. This began, I don't know what year it was, but AOC was already in office, and she was asked, on I believe it was Meet the Press, about Israel, and she said she favors the two-state solution. And the next day, she had to walk that back because two-state solution was no longer what the left believed. And all of these liberal Jews were still like, I believe the two-state solution. Literally, there's nobody else who believes in that. Like, you're the only ones left. Your whole entire side has abandoned you, and you completely didn't notice.
I mean, I think the two-state solution is dead for a million different reasons, but, up to and including the fact that the support for it inside Israel has died past October 7th. But, again, that's a realm of this discussion that is now just kind of completely evaporated. Unless you are seriously talking to somebody about Israeli politics and you were talking about the coalition of the Knesset. Nobody is talking about this from the foreign affairs perspective.
Not at all.
It is Israel is Israel is either what it has been understood to be in the past or a belligerent state, which is the rising opinion. And then that leads to sympathetic points of view for Iran.
Right.
Which it's well, Iran needs to exist because this is something I've seen a lot from young progressives that the idea of a multipolar world, that a multipolar world is better than
progressives. You see it from Tucker Carlson. You see it
Sure,
he now he says openly that China needs to be the counterbalance to the US. Who believes that other than leftist idiots? And this is where the far right is now. I can't even call him far right. I just see him as such a leftist. Part of his I don't understand. He doesn't understand anything. That is such a leftist tick where I don't know what these words mean. I don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Speaking, he's gonna do an event with Platner, right?
Oh,
he's gonna have
100% in
he's
Maine?
totally gonna do an event with Platner.
And the question is, does Platner do an event with him? Has Tucker been cleaned enough that he can come out the other end on the left?
If they talk about one subject, I think we all know what subject that they would want to talk. If they just had one conversation about one subject, I don't think anybody on either of those sides would have a crossword to say about what was discussed.
I'll just add one thing about Israel versus what is going on in America. I don't worry about Israel at all. I think they're going to be fine. They're going to do whatever they need to do to survive. Absolutely nobody's going to be telling them how they can defend themselves or not. I worry far more about what's going on here. I don't know if you saw the recent, there was a story about a kid from Cornell who responded to a job interview offer with, I don't want to work for a Jew. I just feel like that kid doesn't realize that in the rest of the world, not on his podcast listening, you don't say things like that. It's just, these people have become so comfortable in these crazy ideas that they don't see that they don't play outside of the kind of echo chambers that they're in. Now, what could happen, of course, is the bad ideas on college campuses can escape and be there for the rest of us. And then we're really in trouble as a society. I don't worry about Israel. I worry about America if ideas like that become normal.
I don't want to work for a Jew. Because that's the stuff that worries me as somebody who has spent, in any conversations that I've had about widespread anti-Semitism, I've usually been the non-Jewish friend talking to Jews and saying, you got to look at it this way. That's been kind of my role. The stuff that worries me is the the idea of goy as this slur, that it just shows you've never spent any time around Jews. This is just not that that's the N-word to non-Jews or something like that. It's that's the stuff the really pervasive, and that's where I think that kid comes from is this no, to work for a Jew is to further a system that is, that is hurting non-Jewish people. And it's when you really look at the bad rise of anti-Semitism stories, when you look at the pogroms and you look at the Holocaust, when you really look at that stuff, that's where you get into trouble. You get into trouble when you start dehumanizing, and more specifically dehumanizing from the point of view of you as the underdog. Dehumanizing from the idea that no, anything we do to this super powerful race is justified because they already have all the money and they have all the
Right.
power.
Right. And then you could
And
say things like that
yes,
openly and it's going to be okay. And I hear from parents, I used to hear from parents of girls all the time, like, I'm worried about my daughter becoming a communist in college. And now I hear from parents of boys who are worried about them getting into this anti Semitic brain rot because, as I like to say, there just aren't enough podcaster jobs for them to take over after they graduate. Like, what is this kid going to do now? Who's hiring this, college student? Forget about Jews. Is a non-Jew hiring a college student who responds like that to a job interview? Like, if yes, again, we're in trouble. And if no, he just destroyed his life. And for what?
yeah, yeah. Well, maybe Tucker's got a spot. Um, it's weird. I do worry about it. I do think that it is beyond troubling. It is, like you mentioned, just non-productive for somebody's life. Like
Yeah.
there's no any moment that you think about the phrase "goy slop" is a moment that you could have been happier, a moment
Totally.
that you could
Well,
have
that's
been
what I
more
used to say about
productive.
leftism. I used to say every moment spent on woke nonsense was a moment not spent like learning something. And this is where we
Yeah.
are, Carl. It's literally the mirror.
This is your update brought to you by TakePoliticsSeriously.com. That's where you get 2 bonus episodes of this show each and every week. And sometimes like yesterday, man, we drop exclusive nuggets about what I was hearing from people close to the situation with the military. It is good. It's good not only to support shows that are doing this kind of stuff, putting out what I think to be highly nutritious content, thought through perspective and analysis, trying to bring on good, interesting, and smart people that are going to widen your aperture so you have a better sense of what things are going on in the world of politics, the kind of thoughts that people are thinking. I think it's good. It's good for that. But also you get some exclusives here and again, and that's good as well. Ron DeSantis is criticizing a possible White House push to preempt state AI regulation, calling it bad policy and even worse politics. Florida has pursued one of the most aggressive Republican-led AI regulation efforts, including a proposed AI Bill of Rights requiring chatbot companies to give parents access to children's interactions, set usage limits, and send alerts for self-harm or violent threats. The bill passed Florida's Senate but stalled in the House, whose speaker backs a national framework favored by the Trump administration. Florida is suing OpenAI over data collection from minors and past protections shielding ratepayers from data center costs. I've been saying this for a while, that anybody who thinks that AI is on a settled ideological line, is not following where this stuff is. There are a lot of vectors to this, and there are no more vociferous AI critics in the Republican Party than specifically those that are DeSantis loyal Republicans in Florida. James Uthmeyer, their attorney general, and Ron DeSantis have been pretty unflinching about what they believe is essentially a new act for big tech. And that's a big understanding of all of this, is that there are some on the conservative side that look at AI and don't understand it as new players. They just look at it as, okay, we have social media to do again. We feel burnt by social media. We were lured in. We were then silenced. We were controlled. We were corralled, and we will not have that happen again. Now, I might have my own personal differences of opinion when it comes to their understanding of the technology, but you cannot have a realistic radar of where this kind of stuff is going to play out politically if you don't realize that there are lefty criticisms of AI, and that largely centers around oligarchical control, techno-fascism fears, and then the doomer element of like AI is going to kill us all tends to find more of a home in terms of organized political action on the left. the right is like, I won't have Facebook happen again. There's a whole book that can be written about the psychic scars that Facebook specifically left with the Republican Party and how betrayed they felt, specifically through the 2016 election and COVID. I think that conservatives really, really, really believed in Facebook as an organizing place for them, and then they felt a rug pull, the likes of which they are still smarting from. That's just my guess. As for a national AI framework versus a 50-state solution, I genuinely think that, like, you'd probably be best to do a national framework on the issues that everybody can agree on right now. This tech does move really, really fast. We don't want to be Europe. So creating a patchwork is probably, not the best thing in the world, at least from my perspective. The national framework that would specifically go around maybe some parental stuff. I do think that some of what DeSantis is pushing for is not bad. Um, OpenAI and Anthropic, Google certainly, Meta obviously would probably do better to be more aggressive about handling kids' accounts, specifically centering them out, giving parents control over some of the data there. Like, I think that would probably be a smarter move for them to do earlier. If you wanted to put that into legislation, I think some of the bigger companies would actually prefer it because they would be able to, it'd be a little bit of regulatory capture. And then obviously the data center stuff. Look, I've said this a million times. None of the companies that are doing these data centers want them to be, right now, they're not looking for a deal. You can throw rules on top of them and they will continue to pay whatever they need to pay to get these things up. Because the belief inside the industry is, at least, go and, it's not just me saying this, go listen to the OpenAI CFO, Sarah Fryer. The more compute they have, the more money they make. So they want to build these centers that then they can monetize forever, not only in training models, but also serving models. And as we get to IPO season for all these companies, there's going to be a real crunch for compute. There is a crunch for compute. And there's also going to be a crunch for exactly how much you're going to be able to sell quote unquote tokens for. This is getting way more technical than it needs to be. But there we go. Congress has failed to extend Section 702 of FISA, meaning the surveillance authority is set to expire Friday night for the first time since 2008. The House rejected a short-term extension through July 2nd, with 19 Republicans and most Democrats opposing it. Later, Senator Ron Wyden blocked Senate attempts at 1- and 3-week extensions. Democrats object to Trump naming Bill Pulte as acting director of national intelligence and demand his removal before negotiations resume. Republicans warn that the lapse could endanger national security, though some believe Trump may try to keep the program open through executive action. More on the DNI position in a second, but let's just get to the idea that FISA might lapse. What a moment. Because specifically, it was Republicans that were very much against FISA around the era of Donald Trump being spied on. That was a FISA warrant. This was the kind of thing that was very controversial. And now it is the Democrats that are blocking this because of a DNI appointment that most Americans quite simply do not know who the hell this guy is. What you are seeing here is, by way of the Democrats, intelligence community pushback that they hate Bill Pulte. And by the way, we've mentioned this before, a lot of people hate Bill Pulte. He is not a well-liked dude, even inside the Trump team. All that being said, Donald Trump, of all people, having to put an executive order to have a stopgap to keep FISA open through whatever legal capacity this is, and who knows exactly what the legal capacity would be, that is rich. That is very rich. And finally, Trump has nominated former SEC Chair Jay Clayton to become Director of National Intelligence as pressure mounted over his decision to install Bill Pulte as acting DNI. Lawmakers in both chambers rejected the short-term extension, but Democrats said Clayton's nomination does not resolve the problem unless Pulte is kept out of the acting role. Chuck Schumer said Pulte has got to go, while Mark Warner and said Tulsi Gabbard or her deputy should remain acting DNI through the transition. Will she do it? That's a big question. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard says that she resigned from the DNI position because her husband is undergoing a very rare form of cancer treatment and she wants to be there with him. Can that be sidelined to make sure that this goes on? And by the way, it's not like there's not a lot of stuff that needs active spying. World Cup is going on. The 250th birthday of America. These are not only high-profile events, but, you know, if I were an intelligence company or intelligence agency, and you have a lot of foreigners on American soil, you know, this is the time to spy on them. You know, you got home field advantage here, baby. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening. It's a very odd moment for FISA to lapse. As for the new guy, comes obviously from outside of the direct MAGA world. He is not somebody that is known as a slavish Trump devotee. He's a serious man. If he's coming from the Securities and Exchange Commission, not the Southeastern Conference, in case you were worried about that. He's not going to be ruling on Texas Tech's quarterback, but he seems more confirmable. And the Democrats are not screaming and howling about him. They're screaming and howling about when Pulte might go. Will the Republicans move on from this? You know, it doesn't seem like it from Trump's perspective. But then again, he's got his head in so many other clouds, you know. He's trying to hit the off-ramp on this Iran thing, and then it's going to be off to Havana. So who knows? Who knows? That's your update. TakePoliticsSeriously.com, where you need to go if you want to get 2 bonus episodes of this show. Let's get back to Karol. All right, let's take a look at some of the mechanical side of the Republican map. Where is your estimation of where the current coalition is? Because I've seen, you know, right now my sizing up of it is like we're about however many months away until November, and either party are really in fighting shape. You have a lot of people that are frustrated. You have a war that like is both unpopular and not as pervasive as other wars are. There's a lot of neither fish nor fowl here.
Yeah, I don't know. The interesting thing is that a lot of the issues that people say they care about, like the border was a top issue that Americans cared about, and it's largely solved. But how do you get that point across? Like, hey, you have to stick with my version of what needs to happen. This is Trump speaking here. Or you're going to go back to that. And it's very hard to remind people what they cared about 2 years ago when what they care about now is gas prices. And that's the tough kind of road he's going to have to walk in getting his people out. I think Florida adding some seats is going to help potentially have Republicans keep the House. I still think they don't, but you know, at least they have a kind of a fighting chance now. It's and Virginia obviously not getting to redraw their map is a big plus for Republicans. I don't know. I don't know what the individuals run on. I don't know that there's going to be a message that goes through the whole country. I mean, the Democrats appear to be running on no billionaires. Now, of course, they're completely supported by billionaires. And in fact, Tom Steyer was running for governor as a billionaire.
As a billionaire. As a class trader billionaire. What an amazing moment in political history.
Really
when Tom Steyer is buying ads. I'm in California a lot these days. And so I just saw all these ads and it's like proud class trader. It's like, where are we, dude?
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, I shouldn't be able to buy elections. And then it's like, you can't buy elections. You have been
Well,
unable to. Right.
You have been unable. Yeah, he has now spent, I think the total was like $350 million to be a
Yeah.
private citizen.
Could have gotten at least like four homeless people off the streets in LA.
The consultant's dream, Tom Steyer. Just what an absolute giveaway to them. Real quick, you mentioned LA. I got to talk about this.
Hold
So the
on.
Spencer Pratt thing. I said on the last show, I don't know whether or not there was fraud. I do know that when you stretch out your elections this long, it is impossible to make fluctuations in the vote not look like fraud.
Yeah.
Like it's
Especially
just,
when the
you
third
can't
place
do it.
moves up that much. Like it's okay.
Now,
if
if
the
that
first
happens in
place-
12 hours,
Yeah.
it's one thing. That's just the way the math goes. That's the way the dice tumbles. If
Right.
it happens over 7 days, if it happens over, a period of time, enough time that you could mail in ballots or stuff ballots into a thing, then you are opening up the ability to do it. But I don't want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about this. A lot of the commentary around Spencer Pratt losing is like, well, of course, he's a Republican. He ran in a very blue place. He's a Republican. The idea of Spencer Pratt, television personality who spent $10 million running a crystal business, being like this arch conservative, this George Prescott Bush, like starched shirt conservative that tried to run in LA is just laughable to me. It's like, of course, he was trying to run as a centrist. He never said he was a Republican. He didn't get Trump's endorsement. He never said he was for a Republican thing. He ran an extraordinarily local race that was focused on homelessness and crime and rebuilding the Palisades. I don't know. The idea, I guess it was effective marketing, to say he's a Republican, toss him to the side, but he didn't run like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he absolutely didn't run like that. He ran like an everyman. Did anybody think he was going to win the general? No. Like, I definitely didn't think he was going to win the general.
No.
And I'm not a election conspiracy theorist, but this smells. The third place candidate added this many votes and the first place candidate didn't, and they're both Democrats, because it's like it's this thing of like, oh, well, Democrats, they just vote late. And it's like, well,
they vote late. They vote late.
First place Democrats voters vote late. It just makes no sense. There's clearly shenanigans. I don't know that those shenanigans are illegal. They might just be part of the California election tapestry that just,
No, the beautiful Pantone expression
of tapestry. Yeah, I don't know, but it's a really bad system. I don't know how anybody believes in that system. I don't know how anybody stays there. I understand that I left New York. I live in Florida, but I am not actually a leaver. I thought that I would stay in New York forever, no matter what. And they took away school from my kids, and then I had to go. But in other situations, I would be the stay and fight kind of person. I don't know how you stay and fight when you just can't trust your election system at all. Like, at least in New York, the Republican was going to lose, but I felt like it was a fair election and they lost. Here, I don't know what this is.
When Ro Khanna, who does like to have his cake and eat it too on a lot of issues, but I do give him credit for at least giving voice to this and not just hand waving it away.
Yeah.
He's saying, look, we have to do some kind of reform. Now, it also, if you follow the banner allegiances of all these politicians in California, Ro Khanna has been the black sheep to what is essentially, we can describe it as the Pelosi machine in California. And I don't think she owns it. She didn't create it, but it is
but it's her
the machine that has turned out Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, Xavier Becerra, Eric Swalwell. Like, these guys all come down a conveyor line because Karen Bass is another one. Because they have played their role, they have done their job, and now they are going to be in those positions. Ro Khanna has never been that. Ro Khanna has kind of come from outside of that. So his ability to say there should be reform is what it is. I just don't know why you have the system in Florida.
Yeah.
Like just
use
do
our
this.
system. Going back to our first
It's
topic,
very
take the
easy.
best of different places and bring them to your home.
There we go. We can circle back. And America has 50 experiments for democracy.
Right.
One
And
of them can count
one.
ballots. One of them can get to 80% of ballots counted by 9 p.m. Like the other ones can't seem to get there. Like
the thing in California is that the ballots don't even need to be postmarked, which is where the fraud possibility occurs. That you're counting boxes that you don't know when these ballots were dropped off, and it's wrong. It's wrong. It's not a postmarked ballot that you're like, well, they sent it in before Election Day. We're just counting it now. No, it's a ballot that was dropped off in a drop box, and you don't know if somebody went house to house and rounded up all the ballots. The system makes no sense, and they need to change it.
What is the legacy of the Spencer Pratt campaign? Got a lot of attention online. I think we can both agree that he was tilting at windmills for the general.
Sure.
Even if the assumption was he probably should have made it to November. Is there something to learn there?
I wonder if in slightly less blue places, there will be candidates taking a shot at this. I had Gates Garcia on my show yesterday, and he basically said that that's, courage is contagious, and that this is what people will want to take a shot in a way that they maybe didn't before because of Spencer Pratt, because he had this message that was very obvious, and, cleaning up your city is not something that should be partisan, and solving the homeless problem, not letting it grow and grow and grow and spend more money on it every year is something that should be obvious. And I don't know. A lot of places do need to hit sort of rock bottom. I think of New York, for example, before they can really turn it around. And LA, I guess, has not hit that rock bottom yet, but it's sure from my visits, it felt like it did. But I guess they have lower to go.
Weather's nice. The weather's really nice.
I was always an LA defender. I loved it, and it just got worse and worse every time you're there. There's a new homeless encampment, and it's a bad scene over there. And so I don't know. I don't know what the legacy is other than take a shot. Run on a normal platform of wanting to fix things in your city and hope for the best.
Yeah, on the upside, I would say the biggest things that really propelled him was be extraordinarily local. Like talk about specifics. And I would say also that was Mamdani's thing. Mamdani talked a lot about like kitchen table issues. Where do you eat? Where do you live? How do we fix it? Like, I think they went at it in different ways. They were attacking different people. Spencer Pratt really put the target on the NGOs. But I think the way that he explained things was like smart. Just say like, well, why are we spending $100,000 for 3 meals or whatever? Like the kind of the math stuff was.
But it becomes, if LA, the voters themselves are not asking these questions, there's nothing you can do. There's just, if they're like, I'm willing to shovel money at the homeless problem without solving any of it and let it continue to grow. If they're like, I don't know why the houses are not being rebuilt in the Palisades, but whatever, there's nothing anybody can do to solve that.
Yeah. I did wonder whether or not from the people that were motivated by Pratt, and I talked to a bunch of people in LA that that really thought he was going to win. Like LA residents that were like, he has a shot if he can make it. I wonder whether or not it is blackpilling or inspiring, that it's like, okay, there were more people that were into this than the votes indicated. We should try again. Or if it's like, whatever, dude, it's LA. Let me just get my paycheck and then try to move whenever. Like, all the business is moving out of LA anyway. The entertainment industry is effectively wholly owned and operated by Silicon Valley at this point. So it's like, what is the point of roots in LA?
Yeah, I feel pretty black-pilled on LA. I was really rooting for at least the conversation to continue and for him to be able to debate Karen Bass and say, this is what the problems are, how do you plan to fix them, and for her to have to come up with solutions. I mean, that's what happened at the, after the debate. Karen Bass and Nithya Raman had to actually come up with actual solutions because of Spencer Pratt.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm black-pilled because if it's not now and it's not this, then when and
Then
how?
when?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, well, not for LA, not now. Weirdly, San Francisco elected a moderate before LA did,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
although I don't know,
They saw
both
that
those-
human poop map, make national news, and they were like, we're going to have to make some changes. They saw CVS leaving. All of that is part of what the problems were in San Francisco, and people there got serious about fixing it. And it did. Did San Francisco hit rock bottom worse than LA did? And I think yes.
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco has the benefit of like the center of the economy kind of moved closer because the city of San Francisco, not the South Bay, the last internet boom was around Stanford, it was Mountain View, it was Cupertino.
Yeah.
But the AI companies are in San Francisco. It is in the city. And so they're going to get another 30 years of economic super boom because of that. But that was when I moved to the Bay Area. That was the one thing the wisest thing somebody told me is that place is boom and bust. It's been boom and bust from the very beginning. There is no stasis. It is just when the money's hot, get in there and grab everything you can. Try to get the hell out by the time that it gets really bad, because it goes from Great Gatsby to Mad Max real quick in that area.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And again, in Florida, you could see our politicians being like, you don't have to live like that. You can come be over here. And I think San Francisco had to get serious about keeping the businesses there.
Mm-hmm. We'll do a little Florida chat and then I'll let you go. The waning days of House DeSantis. I know that you shed a tear to see these days pass by so fast. What are your biggest hopes, and what are your biggest fears as there is a changing of the guard leadership wise from what has been like a pretty unquestioned, boom 8 years for really what I would consider the greatest state in the union.
Yeah, every time anybody talks about DeSantis joining the administration, I'm like, no, we could, let's hold on to him till the last day, because he gets so much done. If he had joined the administration, I don't think the map would have been redrawn.
Yeah.
Now the property tax, bill is working its way through the system. I mean, it's lower than he wanted. He wanted no property taxes at all. This is on the first 200,000 to start, and I think it moves up to the 500,000 in phase 2 to and see how that goes. But these were like earth-shattering ideas. Like nobody has gotten rid of property taxes and been like, this is how it's going to work. And he is the only guy that could have done this, or hopefully gets it done. Even with Republican leadership in Florida opposing him, even with them slowing him down and being like the wishy-washy, rhinos that people would be surprised to find in Florida, he is able to accomplish so much. So I'm hoping he keeps working till the last day. I don't know what comes next for him, but for Florida, I guess my hope is that he has a good relationship with the next governor. I'm not sure that's the case with Byron Donalds. I hope that they figure out
some bad blood there, some personal bad blood there.
I wish they would get over it. Sometimes I see glimmers of that. Like there was Byron Donalds wished him a happy birthday on Twitter last year, and I was like, that's interesting. I want there to be a cohesiveness in Florida Republicans that doesn't necessarily exist right now. And I want them to be the DeSantis model. Byron is largely running as a DeSantis Republican, even though, he has the Trump endorsement. He needs the DeSantis model because that is what's worked in Florida. That's what's made it so successful. And he should lean into that.
Yeah. Byron Donalds is going to need those DeSantis voters.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you want them activated. You want them out
And I
there.
love Collins and Renner. Let me just, because I feel like I get a lot of abuse on the X for not taking stands on this. It's just one guy is up by like 50 points. Like
what are you going to
you know
do?
what I mean? Like just that's it. And
Yeah.
I like all the men running. I think all three of them are fantastic. And one of them is going to be governor, and I'm pretty sure it's Byron Donalds.
Yeah. Yeah. Either that or James Fishback's
Oh, I forgot
new
about
wife.
Fishback.
One of
Right.
those
4
two.
men running. 3
One
out
of
of the
those two.
4 would
One
make
of his new
Yeah.
wife or his old crypto fiance. Among those people, there's going to be a
Yeah.
new governor.
My prediction is Fishback gets 5%, blames the Jews, never heard from again.
What a strange, like, it just shows you how overexposed a certain element of our political side is that anyone even knows James Fishback's name.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Yeah.
not relevant.
Right.
Like, he's just
Not
kind
at
of a
all.
crank.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the Groiper, like, Nick Fuentes,
Yep.
goy slop lane of the internet
Mm-hmm.
is much wider than the actual interest in society.
Totally. Again, those people cannot all be podcasters. They need to rethink their path. They should really not
do.
follow losers like that off a cliff. And I get the concerns, you know, from parents who are worried about the James Fishback fans in their lives. So also it's funny, you know, Fishback wrote for like Free Press a few years ago. Like he used to be a totally different person, realized he can make money this way, leaned into it. These people are fakes.
I think he's a bit of an odious character. I don't. I have not looked at anything involving James Fishback and been like, that's a real person. Like that. He just kind of seems like a mirage, a shimmering mirage of a person.
Right. And the people who are falling for it, like, you know,
Yeah.
I feel a mixture of pity and like mockery for them.
All right, Karol, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you?
I am at Karol, Karol on X. I have the Karol Markowicz show, and normally 4 days a week. Check it out.
She's making that content for you to enjoy, dear listeners and readers.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And that'll wrap it up for us today. Politics, Politics, Politics. Written and hosted by me, Justin Robert Young, for Dog and Pony Show, based in Austin, Texas, but recorded live here on the streets of Buffalo, New York. Oh, look, there's a little bird here. Let's see if we can get the bird on. Oh, there we go. Hey, look at that little guy. Look at that little guy. Starring the bird. Edited by our producer, Will Saddleberg, who is also a Buffalonian. I don't think, maybe it's Buffalonian. I don't know. Email theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Find, follow, and share video clips of the show on Justin R. Young, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. YouTube is Politics, 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 where you get full episodes of the show in beautiful video, including the lovely streets of Buffalo behind me. Support us on PayPal at paypal.me/paidjury. Venmo is Justin-Young-20. Cash App is PX3Cash. Send me anything you'd like in the mail. Post Office Box 153184, Austin, Texas 78715. The only place you get our bonus content is TakePoliticsSeriously.com. Paying members get 2 bonus episodes each and every week. Easiest way to do that is $99 for the entire year. Less than 50 cents an episode when you really talk about it. Come on. Guys, ain't no better deal in the world. But the only way you get your name read on the show is our founding tier, our foundational tier, really. Let's roll the tape. Sonny Black, L3PO, Peepaw, Scott, Middle-Aged Mike, Tom, Nick, Sarah Jeannie, Jeremy, Pro Idiot, Chiller Tomatoes, Neil, Casey, oh yeah, it's Adam, AB Puppy, Dr. Whiskey, Fat Tony's PJs from New York, Will, The Borge B, Michael, Matt, DP4 Bongo, Andrew, Edwin, Sam, Andrew, Phil, Edison, Paul, Gloria Young, my mother, a dog named Checkers, Jerry, Trucker, John, Berkeley, Steven, and Zombie Duck. And that's it for the week. If you are at the SciCon conference here in Buffalo, then hit me up. Let me know. Say hello. Say what's up. If you want to send me any tips there on Venmo, just know that they're all going to go to the bartender here in the hotel. And just a good time to be alive, man. World Cup kicks off tomorrow. USA playing Paraguay, I believe. Let's go USA. I believe that we will win and all that. That wraps it up for us. Hey, guys, look at this. From the All-America City, the home of the Goo Goo Dolls, Josh Allen, Buffalo, New York. Here's your old pal Justin Robert Young saying, some shows talk about politics, others talk about politics, and still more discuss politics. But this is the only show that dares discuss all three.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Dog and Pony Show audio.